Welcome to the favorites presented by DraftKings. We're also on the Action Hour podcast feed. If you are listening to us there, it is a crossover episode. Wherever you're listening or watching, thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Evan Abrams, and I am joined by the one and only Stuckey for our NFL recap show for Wildcard Weekend. Just a ridiculous weekend of 5 great games. Obviously, still have Houston and Pittsburgh coming up on Monday night, and we will touch on that a little bit later. We also have Brandon Anderson's hot read before we get out of here, so we'll get his opinion too. But before we get started, I will just give you exactly what I just tweeted out, which is we see some opening lines for the divisional round, and it looks like Bills Broncos kind of going a little bit between. I see the Bills favorite in some of those spots. If they were to close as a favorite in Denver, it would be the fourth time in the last 40 years we had seen a divisional round team off of a bye at home close as an underdog. And I can read it right now. The last would have been the Eagles in 2018 against the Falcons, the Niners in 2012, and the Saints, and then the Panthers 96, 97. And in all three of those positions, the home team came away with the win. So we will see kind of how the market puts together the spread in that one over the next week. But aside from that, Stuck, before we get into Chargers Patriots, what a weekend, man. What's your thoughts on everything?
Yeah, crazy weekend. I got rinsed, sadly. I went 1-4. Some bad calls and some bad breaks. I mean, I had the Packers as a dog, which was something. I thought I was going to push at worst.
Yeah.
After at the end, but the two missed field goals, a missed extra point, the 2-point conversion. The play of the game was the 4th and 8 that Caleb got. If he doesn't convert that 4th and 8, the game is over. They were down 2 possessions at the time. They score, get the 2-point conversion. And yeah, I mean, McManus was a disaster for them. But credit to the Bears. They were the second team in NFL history to score 25-plus points in the fourth quarter or overtime of a playoff game to overcome a 15-plus point deficit. It was them and the Patriots in the Super Bowl against the Falcons. I lost money on both. Patriots, Falcons, one of my biggest bets of all ever that I lost.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, the Bears outscored them 25-6 in the fourth quarter. That was just the Bears games all year. It was like a microcosm of the Bears season in one game. And then the Packers in a sense too, with some of the losses they suffered. But the Bears, they're never dead and they found a way. But like the McManus kicks were so big because even if you make the extra point, you can kick the field goal at the end, the field goals earlier in the game. So, yeah, that was just an incredible game. By the way, the most lead changes we've ever seen in a single round of the postseason already. We still have one game to go. So that was, I mean, the first three games that we saw, the winner was trailing with 2 minutes to go. So yeah, just wild games. And look, in the playoffs, when it comes to betting or just whoever wins these games outright, the margins are thin, especially this year. Everything is so wide open that you go back. I also had one of the other bad breaks that I had the Jags first half. So Lawrence's thigh goes down at the 6th. They get no points out of that, and then a missed kick at the end of the first half by an All-Pro kicker. That kick was massive, obviously. I mean, the game was a 3-point game. But those little things, are so magnified in the playoffs. So, yeah, I thought any of the games could have went any way. The Panthers were super surprising. I did not expect their offense to look that well. I had the under that. It was a terrible call. And then my worst call of the weekend was I had the Chargers. I mean, the Patriots were dominant in that game. Drake May I thought he had a pretty bad game. He could have had 3 or 4 turnovers, but he used his legs more effectively. He hit the one big throw downfield. And on a side-by-side basis, he looked like an all-pro compared to Herbert. I mean, Herbert, look, I don't like to label these things for small sample size because it's only been 3 starts, the playoff Herbert thing. And he had no help. The offensive line was really poor. I thought the Patriots had a really good game plan. They just couldn't handle their stunts, their blitzes, and they were just bringing pressure. But Herbert also played really poorly. He looked like the first-time starting quarterback. He looked like a rookie. I mean, he was flustered. He missed some opportunities to scramble. He missed some open throws, and then he was just inaccurate. I get that he was under pressure and under fire, especially late in the game once the Patriots built that lead. But there were some opportunities there. I also thought Harbaugh, that whole staff was extremely disappointed. I thought they got significantly outcoached. You went into that game. By the way, you had a bye last week, so you basically had 2 weeks. They took a bye. They had 2 weeks to come up with game plans to make up for the deficiencies that you knew you had on the offensive line. Did you not think that the Patriots were going to blitz and stunt? And it just seemed like there was, I don't know what their game plan was. I don't know what the offensive philosophy going into that game was. And then you had Harbaugh early on in the game. He goes for it on 4th and goal at the 2, doesn't get it. And then he has 4th and goal at the 2 again and kicks a field goal. I hate when coaches do that. You're the underdog on the road. You were aggressive the first time. If you thought it was just going to be a field goal game, then kick it both times. But you went for it the first time. Don't get scared just because you didn't get it. But those were two huge sequences. And the Patriots, whose red zone defense was the worst in the league this year, Chargers have struggled in the red zone as their offense. Patriots defense won that battle. I thought they had the most convincing win of any of the 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, not hard to have a convincing win when it felt like it came down to the wire in all of them. I thought this was going to be a closer game tonight as well. I mean, 3 points ain't going to do it. And of course, you mentioned it. Like, if you're not going to go for it, I mean, if you're going to go for it at first, you got to go for it again. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's part of your game plan. Like, you got to figure out one way or the other. Either I need points or I don't. But you're right. I'll go game by game here. We can go very quickly since obviously we're going over a bunch here. But New England won the game 16-13, covered the 3.5 at home, total under 45.5. Just simply a dominant performance from New England's defense. I mean, aside from that, I think, like you said, May played okay. But everyone's going to talk about probably 2 things. Chargers defense probably played as best as they could. I think the offensive line let them down. Herbert got hit 7, 8, 9 times in this game, which is on par for everything we've seen from them this season. And I mean, just kind of looked like a Vrabel defense in this game. And coming up, you've got Houston and Pittsburgh. I think they'd probably like to see Pittsburgh, would be my guess, based off just, trying to see another defense in that sense. But either way, kind of intriguing. Any thoughts early on that New England game, depending on opponent?
I mean, you can kind of have a similar game plan against, right? You have Stroud, who struggles against the blitz, Rodgers, who struggles against pressure, 2, not the most reliable offensive lines. So, I still have questions about this Patriots defense. It's just like, who have they faced all year, right? Like, they faced Josh Allen, got cooked, and that's basically the only. And then they did. You have to give them credit for just completely bottling up Herbert. But again, the state of that offensive line. But it might be the same story next week against either one of those opponents. And Drake May has a start.
Did Christian Gonzalez come back?
No, so that's a major concern. Yeah, because he was. And the other disappointing thing is like the Chargers receivers were non-existent. I mean, the only guy that you heard his name the entire, besides Herbert getting hit, was Vidal. He picked up that fumble, ran for it. Had a couple but who on the Chargers offense did you hear their name called?
Also, I mean, to be clear, a lot of people talking about this, but they disguised the Omarion Hampton injury a lot more than they probably should have, because it honestly looked like he shouldn't have even played in the game, and there should have been some designation. And we had heard about ankle, this and that. He had a little bit of a boot on it and basically shouldn't have been out there. It was the reason Herbert was scrambling all over the place, and obviously Vidal played a ton of snaps. But all right, let's keep rolling.
Yeah, they're gonna. If you're a Patriots fan, you want to see the Steelers though, because
that's fair.
I mean, look, the Steelers are 3-point home dogs against the Texans. The Steelers, you can get explosives on them. That's something that the Chargers do take away, and they did for the most part today. But yeah, I think that the Patriots should feel good, regardless of who they play. But the Texans, I think, would be a stiffer test defensively.
I agree. All right,
rematch, by the way, rematch of earlier this season when the Steelers did go into New England and beat the Patriots. But the Patriots dominated that game. It was a typical voodoo Steelers win. I think the Patriots turned it over 5 times. The Patriots kept getting down to the 2 and not scoring. It was pretty crazy. I think the Patriots will be deserved favorites at home against either.
All right, let's keep rolling here. Buffalo, Jacksonville. Buffalo wins 27-24, 1.5 point road dogs, total under 51.5, 52.5, but right by the hook. I mean, I think you and I would mention this, and you obviously had Jags first half, but Buffalo's probably started a little bit faster than maybe we had assumed, even though it included like 2 punts, a fumble. Like it wasn't exactly amazing offense in the first half, but got the job done. But to me, it just turned into kind of an everything Josh Allen game. Ton of passing, running all over the place. But the Jags rush defense did their job. Like Cook did nothing. 15 of 46, just both around 3 yards per rush. It was just other things that got them beat. I mean, Buffalo went 9 of 16 on third down, fourth down. Definitely, and you had mentioned it with the Caleb Williams throw, but that back foot throw from Josh on first
That
and
was
10
crazy.
to Cooks, ridiculous. I mean, that's those two throws like win football games when you're talking about the margins being that thin. But what did you see here? Anything worth note?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Bills in the first half were great. I mean, the
Yeah.
Jags were 1.5 yards per play better. The Bills had one good drive in the whole first half, but it was a meaningful drive. It was 94 yards after Trevor Lawrence's shin went down. Huge swing in that game.
Mm.
And then they kicked a 50-yard field goal off of an interception. But those are the margins. Prater, your banged up kicker, made a 50+ yarder, and the Jags all pro kicker who made 20 in a row missed a 50+ yarder. And then in the red zone, you didn't get your fourth down, came away with no points. The Bills were amazing on fourth downs. So I thought like just watching that game, the Jags were the better team on a play-by-play basis. Like they completely stopped the run. They had way more success running the ball, but the Bills had Josh Allen, and that was ultimately the difference. He played amazing because he had no help from his run game. They usually do. And in the second half, they had to open it up and ask him to go win it, and he did. I also thought in the first half, the Jags really, really missed Parker Washington. He
It's a good
was
call.
he was amazing in the second half. He was amazing in the second half of the year, and he missed most of the first half. I am shocked. I mean, it's the playoffs. Like, there's no such thing as concussions for a lot of teams. I'm shocked that he came back after what I saw, but he was great in the second half. Did he finish for? I think he finished with over 100 yards.
I think so.
Uh,
Yeah.
and so they missed him in the first half. They missed some opportunities, but yeah, really a coin flip game. Like Jags. Here's where this again, where the margins are small. I think McDermott made a huge mistake. That Josh Allen tush push. It's funny that they used the tush push so effectively, and they were trying to get it banned in the offseason. I believe they were one of the teams that voted against it, and they use it now effectively in the Eagles. Like they went 4 of like their last 11 on the tush push. But there's a minute 10 left at the 1 on first and goal, and the Jags have no timeouts. I 100% of the time snap and fall down or snap and take a knee. 100% of the time. And then you have three that you run 40 seconds off the clock. There was like a minute 5 left. There would have been 20 seconds left. You have your timeouts, but you don't even need it. You have 3 more Josh Allen tush pushes to get in, and then the Jags are done. Instead, you scored on the first play. Now it didn't matter because Lawrence threw a pick, but you shouldn't base things off of the results. It's about the process.
Yeah.
Now you could say like, look, just get the points. Things can happen. You can fumble. I get it, but I think in the long run, the smart move there was to not score on first down with them not having any timeouts, and then score. Now it didn't bite the Bills, but just something worth noting because we've seen McDermott in final minutes of playoff games go sideways
Terrible.
before. But just an incredible game, and it was Josh. You have to like Allen got beat up in that game too. I mean, he came in with an injury to his foot. He he had his knee twisted. He got his head hit. His hand hit on a helmet. I mean, the Jags defense threw everything at him, and he just made incredible throws with like who at receiver. Shakir had a great day, but they kept losing receivers. They've already so that was all on Josh Allen. Hat tip to him.
I mean, they saw Mitch Trubisky warming up, and Josh is like, "No chance. That's not
No,
happening
this
in
isn't
this
happening.
game." And then, yeah,
Josh
the
Allen
reason-
going to the blue tent in the playoffs is me rolling my eyes. They just go in there and like give him a pat on the ass and tell him to get back out there.
The reason you're right though about the tush push at the end is because the Jaguars faked like they
Yeah,
wanted
they
to
wanted
play
them to
defense.
score. Yeah.
Correct, but they faked it. Like they wanted them to look like they cared about him scoring. And Liam Cohen even said in postgame, he was like, "We let them score. It was the right move." So you're
That's how you
probably
know
right.
it was the wrong move to score when
Correct.
the other team is trying to let you score. So like because of that, you could have like went to the inch yard line and kneeled it, and the chances of you scoring again from the inch yard line with the Josh Allen tush push are way higher than the Jags with a minute 10 being able to go down the field and kick a field goal with a kicker who has distance from he's 2 for 2 from 67 plus. The rest of the NFL and NFL history is 0 for 22. So like all they had to do, they get the midfield, right? So you start like a lot of times you start at the 35, like 15 yards, you're in range. Now it worked out for them. I'm just saying, I think that was the wrong move.
Yeah, sometimes it works out and it's just the wrong move, and that was one of them. I'll lead with one
Jags,
more
though,
thing
by the
on
way,
defense.
rest of the AFC should be happy that they're out. It was
Yeah,
unfortunate. Incredible year from Liam Cohen. Easily could have won that game. Easily could have made a run. It was unfortunate that both of these teams had to play each other on Wild Card Weekend.
completely agree. A lot of flack is going to go to Herbert based off his performance tonight, but I did look it up. Trevor Lawrence's 3 playoff starts, minus 1.6 EPA today, minus 3.7 in his last start, and then plus 2.5 against KC, but negative completion percentage over expected in all 3 starts, QBR under 50 in all 3. Like he just hasn't been his best in these games. And I mean, he played all right today. Maybe you put it on the defense, but Buffalo does put up what 26, 27 points in this game, so probably a stopper more there on the defense. All right,
No,
let's
he
get
wasn't
rolling with
great.
it.
He
Yeah,
was just okay. But the pick at the end was bad. The other pick was bad early that led to
yeah,
Buffalo points. And then you have to blame him for his shin going down. Just awareness. I mean, it's just him. I know it was kind of a fluky play, but that basically took 4.5, 5 points on average off the board. So yeah, that he wasn't great, but I thought the Jags defense played well, and it was just that Josh Allen was just incredible. You got to hand it to him.
ridiculous. And an unfortunate miss from Cam Little early too. Obviously the difference, but all right, Green Bay, Chicago. Holy mackerel. So Chicago wins the game 31-27, 1.5 point home dogs, total over 46 and a half. There is really not much to say here other than like if you haven't watched Chicago all year, this is exactly what you got. And then from Green Bay's perspective, like they've lost 5 straight after this one. They have not looked the same in, basically without Micah Parsons. But I mean, when you talk about the play calling from LaFleur in the second half, they attempted 7 runs in the second half up 21-3. It was -2, 1, 6, 0, 1, 0, and 0. First 4 drives in the second half, they gained 9 total yards. And I think the worst part about it was they knocked off like 4 minutes on the clock in total in those 4 drives. So you just really got shit before they even scored a touchdown in the second half and really got something going. It was already 21-16 and it was a ball game. So you had kind of ruined the entire lead based off of your play calling. And you could just see it. Like after they got up, they were just allowing Chicago to do kind of what they wanted and stick around. And that honestly ended up being the problem. And you mentioned it. The 4th and 8th throw to Rome is just, I mean, something you will see forever in Chicago, no matter what happens, because it was just that unreal of a throw from a guy that talented, and also very cool that he looked like Michael Jordan in the middle of the air. But either way, absolutely ridiculous. So what do you make from Green Bay, Chicago?
Yeah, I mean the Green Bay injuries, I think that caught they were dead. So, I
Yeah,
mean, like Cooper, they had some more offensive line injuries. Dak Tom not starting, although they were up 21-3, missed a field goal at the end of the half. They should have been up 24-3. You have to win that
yeah,
game, and they're up 21-6 in the fourth quarter. Like you have to win that game no matter what. And I mean, it just was just your typical Bears game. Also, another underrated play. Obviously, the 4th and 8. And if they didn't call the false start, the snap goes over the head before then, and the game is
yeah,
over. The 4th and 8 is an incredible throw by Caleb. Then they score a touchdown. They get the 2 point conversion. Slept on conversion because if you don't get that, the Packers at the end, now the Packers missed a field goal after that, but then they had the ball at the very end of the game at the Bears 20. Timeout management wasn't great for LaFleur. So they had no timeouts left. There was a runoff. It was a mess. But if there were so many things that could have happened where the the Packers could have kicked the game-winning field goal. Now they probably would have missed it again, but they missed 2 field goals, an extra point, and the Bears got a 2-point conversion. That's a 9 points of those hidden points, and all of those cumulatively led to a 4-point lead. If one of those things goes the other way, the Packers are kicking a field goal to tie or to win. Instead, they have to throw up a Hail Mary, and at the end, they had their backup right tackle, their third string center, and their backup left tackle in the game. But I did think that Dennis Allen. I thought the LaFleur play calling wasn't great, but I thought the Dennis Allen adjustments on defense and the additional some of the pressure packages that he was bringing, I thought were very nice in the second half because that's a bad defense. But it just felt like a choke, and it just felt like every Bears game all this year. I mean, that's their 7th win this year, NFL record, 7th win when trailing with under 2 minutes to go. And as someone I had the Packers +1. Now, again, I thought I was going to push it worse. The losing that game is a nightmare. But the 4th and 8, once they got that, I said I'm in trouble. I would have exhaled. The game was over if they didn't convert that, but that was the play of the game.
Seriously. I mean, that play is just unbelievable when you look back at it, especially almost getting sacked, like throwing it almost midair. Just absolutely ridiculous. The one thing
because the Packers had just scored a touchdown to go up 27-16 with 6 to go. And like now there was like 5 to go, 4th and 8 at midfield. You don't get that. It's over. The game's over. So given the circumstances, the stage, and then just how incredible that throw, you have to hat tip Caleb Williams. Now the Bears based on how everything broke, it's pretty crazy that the Seahawks it looked like they were going to get the Packers, and the Packers had a bunch more injuries. And then the Bears win. So then you're a Seahawks fan, you say, shit, we got to play the Rams. And then the Eagles get upset at home, which there's not a lot of people, including myself, saw happening. And now they get the 49ers. So it went from, we're getting the Packers for sure, up 21-3, to, oh, God, we're getting the Rams, to, okay, we're getting the 49ers. So roller coaster emotions for Seahawks fans despite not playing.
Seriously, absolutely unreal to go back and forth. And now Seattle looks like they're a 7.5-point favorite against the Niners, and Rams are laying 3.5 at the moment in Chicago. So interesting lines nonetheless.
Touchdown swing if you're a Seahawks fan.
Seriously,
based on the Eagles result. You would go from a toss-up game probably to somewhere around a pick. I mean, to now a touchdown plus favorite.
Crazy. All right, let's do that San Francisco-Philly game quickly. So San Francisco does end up winning 23-19, 5.5-point road dogs, total under 44.5. I thought this line is fantastic. So from Shield Kapadia, who used to work with me at ESPN, Niners produced the highest single-game offensive success rate against the Eagles since Fangio became their DC. It was just the perfect game plan for what Shanahan put together here. San Francisco defense pretty much showed up here with their 6th, 7th, 8th linebackers out there. But really, it was probably just an inept Philly offensive game. I mean, Hurts is 15 incompletions, just 168 yards, passing rating under 80, QBR of 40. And to me, this is what probably gets it the most. So late pass downs, he was at 31% success rate, and passing to Devonta, Goddard, Barkley, and AJ, he went 18 of 31. So that's 13 incompletions, a lot off target, a lot in pass breaks to those guys. And this one was the best, which Juwan Jennings had more completed passes of 15 plus yards air than Jalen Hurts did, who went 0 for 5. Just absolutely terrible, from my opinion, on the offensive side of the ball that really let him up, because Saquon had a good game. But what do you make of this one?
Yes, one thing I got right this weekend was the under, which I thought was going to get ruined at the end.
It was toast, yeah.
I thought the Eagles were going down in scoring. But this is, again, a microcosm of the year for the Philadelphia Eagles. And even playing this beat-up and already bad 49ers defense that were down their top 4 linebackers, they go on a 16-play, 94-yard, 9-minute drive to go up 13-7 midway through the second quarter. And then from on their next their next 5 drives, 27 plays for 26 yards,
Oh,
taking them midway through the fourth quarter. That was the Eagles' offense all year. No matter who they were playing, they would go these long stretches where they couldn't do anything. I mean, it is, and like the play calling is bad. We know Patula is bad. It's not creative. It's just hitch routes, and some of the runs were. But the biggest thing is their offensive line is so much like. How many times did you see Barkley, who still, if you actually just give him space, he will go for 10, 15 plus yards. How many times all year, including today, was Barkley hit as soon as you're handing the ball off? Hit stuffed in the backfield. I mean, they were 30th in the NFL in stuff rate. Obviously, no Lane Johnson today hurt. Their offense is night and day with him. But it kind of just summed up the Eagles season with their offense and the droughts that they went on. You have Sirianni blowing up on the sidelines with A.J. Brown, and then A.J. Brown doesn't catch a pass, a couple drops the whole rest of the way. The A.J. Brown discourse and the Sirianni-Patola discourse on WIP and what is the 97.5, whatever the radio station is, for the next couple weeks is going to be interesting in Philly. But yeah, I was shocked at the Niners even after losing Kittle.
yeah.
And they lost the turnover battle 2-0. Purdy had 2 bad picks, but I was shocked that they were able to push the ball down the field and hit explosives on this Eagles defense in 25 to 30 mile an hour winds. They had a bunch. I mean, Demarcus Robinson had a day. He went off. And look, everyone knew the Eagles offense had issues. Everyone knew Jake Elliott had a down year. And by the way, I know San Fran missed an extra point, but Elliott's missed extra point. You add that in, you can kick a field goal late. Like these little things in the playoffs make such a difference. But I would be remiss if I didn't you gave Shanahan credit. I'll look at it from the other side. The Eagles defense deserves criticism here. This was the unit that's carried them all year, and you're going up against, Fangio has owned Shanahan in the past. 4 head-to-head meetings, he's averaged 10.5 points per game, never cleared 15. And the 49ers, even after losing Kittle, there's no Ricky Pearsall. They gained 361 yards, 6.2 yards per play, and there was no run game to speak of, and there was 30-mile-an-hour winds. And you have the lead late, kick a field goal off of an interception, and you let them go 10 plays, 66 yards, and score a touchdown. That you cannot let them. At worst, you have to hold them to a field goal there. But credit to the 49ers, the Eagles defense, they were great all year. They do deserve blame for that performance today because it wasn't great. So, yeah, credit to the 49ers. Saleh was great. They didn't allow the explosives. Eric Kendricks he deflected the game-winning pass. Patula can't be back. This roster has way too much talent to be coordinated like that. I don't even know. Will Sirianni be back? I don't know. The Eagles are ruthless. They have a very good organization, a very good GM. They're run very well. Like Sirianni, is he 100% back?
This is a loss that just can't happen, right? I mean, even watching this game, Philly's up 3, Philly's up 6, whatever it was like, okay, they're going to do enough to win this, and we're going to talk the entire week about how it didn't look good, but they won anyway. And San Francisco was like, screw that. Like, we're honestly just going to take this game no matter who's on the field. Yeah, I kind of had forgotten and blanked out about the Kittle thing, but adding the Kittle injury to everything else they were going through, and then they still come out on top, honestly, probably one of those shock. I mean, if Carolina had won, which we'll talk about in a second, obviously more shocking, but this was it. I mean, this was the craziest. I couldn't have even imagined this with all the injuries. Line got up to 6 middle of the week, closed at 5.5, but wild nonetheless. And the thing was, San Francisco also gave them 2 turnovers. So
Yeah,
I mean,
lost
they
the
win the
turnover battle, 2-0.
yeah, 2-0. The thing that's crazy is, and I looked this up before we came on. Sirianni has now lost 4 straight when the opponent has 2+ turnovers. He was 25-2 prior to that. So I mean, lately it just, no matter what happens, close game and Philly's offense doesn't come through. But shocking.
The Hurts never turns it over, right? They don't. The Eagles never turn. Sometimes that's like, I feel like it's bad in a way because they don't take risks, right? They're like, it's just
Yeah,
these. How many times on 2nd and long and sometimes on 3rd and long were they running the ball? Um,
playing
like
not to lose.
Yeah, they're just playing to like pull these games out by a field goal. And like that's tough to do. They just need a whole new offense of. They need a new offense coordinator, a new philosophy.
Yeah, this is like not making the playoffs. Honestly, like it pretty much is going to be looked at very similarly to lose a game as like a 6-point favorite at home to a team that's The Walking Dead. All right, let's keep
I will
going
say the
here.
line moves, something that,
Yeah.
look, the best thing you could do betting the NFL and even in the playoffs where lines are even more efficient is get the best of the number. It's the best thing you can do. Now, this weekend didn't really work out. Didn't work out for me in particular. I could think of Packers. I had the Panthers under 49ers under, at least worked out. But if you had the Jags, I mean, Jags took real money. Jags at some sharp shops closed -2.5,
Oof.
opened a dog. And then the Eagles, they were sitting 3.5, close. I think it closed 5.5, right? They're
Yeah.
closed 5.5, with Lane Johnson out, Trent Williams in. But you beat that line, but over the long run, that's going to work out. But this week, for some of the bigger line moves, didn't work out. But short sample size, you can't overreact.
All right. Speaking of lines and craziness, Rams beat the Panthers 34-31. They close as 10-point road favorites, total over 45. So yeah, Carolina does close +10, tied for the biggest home dog in playoff history. But listen, Carolina was inside or pushing the number the entire game. The entire game. So, I mean, there was a chance for the Rams to go up. It could have been 13, it could have been 16 or 17, but there was an opportunity there to kind of blow the game away, and they almost really blew this one. I mean, seriously, a few opportunities there late in the game where it could have definitely gone Carolina's way, especially after that late turnover. I will say this: home dogs of 4+ are now 9-0 against the spread last 50 years in the playoffs. We will see if the Bears get there. Pretty crazy for a 2-seed home dog in the divisional round, but nonetheless, all I really have to say is like Bryce Young played formidable. Like the numbers were all right. He had a positive EPA, but he goes 4 of 17 passing under pressure. Just not something you can do and something typical to what Bryce Young usually does. And then you look at the other side, Stafford, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 244 yards in a clean pocket. And under pressure, he goes 5 of 13 with an interception. And what you would have expected, 31 targets to Puka and Devontae. So going to the people he trusts in this one.
Yeah, it was. This game was played out nothing like I thought it would. Carolina came out throwing. I thought they were going to try to run, control the clock, shorten the game. Now, maybe because they got behind, that all changed. But Young threw the ball 40 times. They only ran it, I think, 20. Now, they didn't have much success running it. I thought Quentin Lake, who returned from injury, had a really bad game. He's a good player, and I thought it was going to help the defense, but it looked like there was some rust and the speed wasn't there. And, I mean, Devontae, missing time. He didn't look great. I mean, he had 5 catches. He was targeted. How many times was he targeted?
A lot.
Like
Yeah,
14
they went to a
times?
bunch. Yeah.
So Nakua was incredible. Stafford, I thought he struggled a bit against, again, his old coordinator. These coverages where they disguise and shift post snap, these mass coverages. He struggled a bit again, but in the end, they recovered and they put that drive together at the end of the game. 7 plays, 71 yards, incredible throw by Stafford down the sidelines. And they got
Throw
it
to
done.
Parkinson was next.
Yeah, that was crazy. So yeah, I was shocked that the Panthers scored 31 the first time and won. But that was on, a pick six, a couple fourth down busted plays. I did not think they were going to get to 31 this time around. So I'm not sure what to make of the Rams, in short. Like, I thought, like, a month ago, this is a team, if you said who's winning the Super Bowl, I would have confidently said, all right, I'm going to pick the Rams. And then, they're up, they're dominating the Seahawks, look like they're poised to get the 1 seed. They melt away that game. They lose in Atlanta. They don't look great, wanting to try for the first 2.5 quarters against the Cardinals. And they eke this game out against Carolina. I got to dig more into the Rams on what's going on because it hasn't looked pretty for the last month.
And now they're laying 3.5 or 4 in a Chicago team who maybe won't be there in the first half, but they will be there in the second. The two things I'll
just bet the Bears when they go down 17.
The two things I saw from the Rams in this game that I guess are kind of puzzling. So they get 9 penalties, and this is coming from the least penalized team in the NFL during the season.
The least penalized team in 5 years.
Yeah. They had 12% of their entire regular season penalties in this game. I mean, that is how crazy and I guess undisciplined to a T they were in this one. And then this is the other one, and you had mentioned it, but Carolina going 4 of 4 in the red zone, and Coker and Tet going 14 of 215. That's a problem. And you had mentioned Lake, but their secondary, the pass plays they allow. To me, that's like part of the issue. And you're going up against, I'm going to call him the magician, but right now that's kind of what Caleb's doing. So between Burden and Rome getting another week of healthy coming off of this one, and there's a lot of DJ Moore. There's a lot of options there for Chicago. I think it's a little bit of a worry.
Yeah. The Rams secondary by far is the most questionable aspect of their team and what ultimately might hold them back from the Super Bowl. I mean, going back to, let's start the November 30th when they played the Panthers. They gave up 31 and lost. They played the Cardinals with they were a backup team, but the Cardinals were moving the ball in that game, like throwing the ball at will. They gave up 34 to the Lions, 38 to the Seahawks, 27 to the Falcons in a loss. And then, they play the backup Cardinals again. Cardinals are moving the ball in that game too. And then 31 to the Panthers. So this defense over the last month and a half has regularly given up 31, 33, 38 points. And the Bears have the talent to take advantage. We'll just see how far behind they get first.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, that was Wildcard Weekend. Here's your weekly reminder to sign up for Action Pro. Action Pro users get real-time alerts as soon as experts like Stuck, Brandon Anderson, Chris Raybon all track their picks in the app. You also get real-time money percentages, see where the smart money's flowing, and access to our NFL player prop projections powered by Sean Kerner. The cool thing about those projections, too, they are available live. So some live betting opportunities you can get with Action Pro. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro to get started. Use promo code POD20 for $20 off an annual subscription. That's promo code POD20 for $20 off and actionnetwork.com/pro. Now, before we get to Monday Night Football, I will throw it over to Kendra Middleton for a quick word from our sponsor.
The Favorites podcast is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook, and in partnership with DraftKings, our listeners get a great offer. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. To get started, use promo code FAVORITES when signing up with DraftKings. That's code FAVORITES when signing up with DraftKings for $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours.
Thank you, Kendra, queen of the pod. Monday Night Football time. So right now, if I look at the board, it is Texans -3 sitting at -105. So that seems to be coming down a bit. 38.5, which the fun thing about 38.5, it is the lowest playoff total since I believe Brock Osweiler, Connor Cook 2016-17. So we haven't seen a playoff total this low in some time. But Stuck, I will leave it to you. Like, what do you think about this game? I have a pick or two and some trends, but what do you make of this one?
I think the line, taking out all the 3.5s on the Steelers made sense. The low scoring game, home dog. Rodgers can get the ball out quick to neutralize some of that Texans pressure. The issue is going to be is if they don't, it's going to be hard to maintain drives, right? So if you could have a couple first downs, but then if you're incomplete on first, run for two on second, on those third and longs, Rodgers against that pressure, and he's been bad against pressure here, it's not going to go well. On the other end, Stroud has been really bad against the blitz. The Steelers defense is getting healthier. You never know what you're going to get from the Steelers defense, though. Like some weeks they look incredible, some weeks it looks broken. There's going to be some busts, which adds some variance here. But they also tend to have those splash plays from their defensive line, the strip sacks, the interceptions. How many of those can they get? Will probably go a long way in determining this game. It's also, we'll see how, Stroud and an indoor team going to outdoors in freezing cold temperatures. That's at least worth noting. I think if you want to bet this game, I don't have anything right now, but this game is on Monday. You're going to have lines out. You already have the Seahawks, Niners line out, the Rams, Bears. If you like something next week, I think the Steelers are a good teaser piece to pair with, say, getting Seattle from 7.5 to 1.5. It's just an ideal teaser piece. The total is 38.5. I know it's not, the line's at 2.5, but it's a juice 3. So you're crossing 3, 4, 6, 7. So yeah, I think the Steelers teaser piece is a good look, but this will probably come down to which defense can force the more critical turnover, because this one should be tight throughout.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick a winner, I like Houston, but I think the line's just right, and I'm not comfortable really laying 3.5 with a 38.5 total. So I buy that. The one thing I think is interesting is obviously you get DK Metcalf back in the game, but if you've watched any Steelers games this year, the chemistry between Metcalf and Rodgers is pretty much zero. Like, I feel like he is not his favorite target. Now, will he force it there? Like, he tends to just throw to his guys, MVS or the tight ends. Like, it's just Rodgers is set in his ways. So it'll be interesting to me how Metcalf kind of gets brought back into the picture after 2+ weeks of them trying to deal without him. So that to me is interesting.
Yeah, I don't think Metcalf being back is as important in some matchups. He's worth a couple points a day.
Sure.
But here you have Stingley who can just man up against him, because a lot of times even in the red zone, right, you'll see like a safety, kind of hovering on his side, cheating to his side, and it might open up some other things. But the Texans, with their corners, they can trust Stingley. By the way, Lenore followed A.J. Brown. He never followed all year, and he followed A.J. Brown today. I don't know, that just came to my mind. He didn't follow JSN all year. I'm curious to see if they change that next week. But yeah, so he's not as important, but he does have the big play capability. So like he does have the chance of like taking a slant 70 yards, right? Whereas no one else on the Steelers does. So he gives you a little bit more upside, but in this particular matchup, I don't think he's as big as he would be compared to others.
And you had mentioned the Stroud thing. I think it is worth noting. I mean, he's 2-0 straight up and against the spread at home in the playoffs, 0-2 on the road. And those, you hear quarterback stats and you're like, I need more context. Well, I mean, on those 2 road games, they've scored 24 total points, scoring 14 or less in both games. You don't need much more context than that. So that has to change if Houston's going to be able to produce what they need to do to win this game. So to me, that's noteworthy. And then I tweeted this out. It's just kind of bonkers that the Steelers have started so slow in playoff games. They've been outscored 73-0 in their 6-game playoff losing streak in the first quarter. So, I mean, they've scored 7 points or less in 69 straight first quarters. Like, you're going to probably need some sort of offense at some point. You don't want to fall down 7, 10, 13, whatever it is, nothing to Houston with that defense. So Pittsburgh's got to try to change things up there. So those are the things that I thought were kind of noteworthy. I'll give you just
69 straight without scoring more than 7 points in the first quarter is insane.
Insane. And it's just, and that's through Rudolph and all sorts of different garbage. But nonetheless, the 3 things I were looking at were, I kind of like Woody Marks to get in the end zone, even in a low scoring game. If I had to pick a touchdown, that would probably be my guy. I actually really like MVS over 9.5 receiving yards. I just feel like in this type of game, even with Metcalf back, he's going to force it into the tight ends, but I also think he's going to force it into guys he likes because that's just who the hell Rodgers is. So I like that 9.5, and I would look at Boswell over 1.5 field goals. I don't love it in this type of game, but again, I see Pittsburgh moving the ball up to a certain point and then just being stymied and Rodgers getting sacked and whatever it ends up being, incompletions, and then they end up having to kick field goals. So I don't even know what that line is. I didn't look at the juice, but over 1.5 field goals feels like something that'll hit for Boswell. So those are my 3 looks.
I believe the Giants have the record for consecutive games without scoring more than 7 points in the first quarter. And I think
Got
it's current. I think it's 80 games. Maybe
Jesus
they broke
Christ.
it this year, but I don't think I think it's 80 games. Giants 80 games without scoring.
I have that Pittsburgh stat goes back to September of 2022, which is a lot of time for Pittsburgh and a lot of different quarterbacks.
This one goes back to 2020. Hold on, let me see.
Wow.
I could be making this up.
Even if you are, it sounds impressive.
Yeah, the New York Giants had a streak of 80 consecutive games where they scored no more than 7 points in the first quarter. Began during the 2020 season and continued until early in the 2025 season. So it ended earlier this year.
Yeah,
it's the second longest streak in NFL history. The longest is...
Oh, you know what? It might have been Russ in like that early Cowboys game.
Yes.
That's a guess.
The record is held by the Brooklyn Dodgers from 1930 to 1937, 86.
Damn Jackie Robinson. All right, so if you want to tell some of these Monday Night Football bets, make sure to look for the ClickSlip link in the podcast and video description, or go to actionhour.com/bet now. Now, but finally, before we get out of here, let's hear from Brandon Anderson on his hot read picks for next week.
I'm going to start with 49ers, Seahawks. Give me the under 46.5. Typically, you want overs in the divisional round and usually with the Niners, but you got to look a little below the surface here. Obviously, these teams just played 2 weeks ago. Seattle 13-3. Dominant win. Niners 36% success rate. Terrible. 173 yards, 3 points. Both of those their lowest since their debut game with Kyle Shanahan back in 2017. 9 first downs all game. They got totally shut down on their money plays. San Fran number 1, red zone number 1 on late downs. They were 2 of 11 on late downs, 0 of 1 in the red zone in that game. This is what Seattle went out to get Mike McDonald for these Shanahan McVay offenses. Seahawks defense is awesome. Number 1 DVOA, top 2 against the run and the pass, and importantly, top 7 or better against motion, play action, under center, middle of the field. All those money Shanahan areas, that is what Seattle defends best. And it turns out that really wasn't new for the Niners offense to stall. We saw it again today against a real defense. Check out these splits. Since Brock Purdy returned from injury, Niners have played 4 games against defenses 20th or worse, 4 games against anyone better. Like 20th is not even good, just even league average or better. This is including like Carolina and Cleveland. And those 4 games against the bad defenses, average score of the game, just under 70 points a game, 40 or 54% success rate for the Niners offense. And the other 4 games, again, against any defense with a pulse, 40% success rate, down from 54. Average score of those games, not 70 anymore. Try 30.3, max score of 42. The Niners offense is just not scoring against top defenses. I think they got a little bit inflated based on some of those bad matchups. Now, obviously, George Kittle is out. That's a huge loss, especially in this matchup. Seattle has not defended tight ends that great. Trent Williams is a question mark, as always. He missed the last game. Ricky Pearsall is an unknown. Niners offense has just not been good enough. And Seattle's offense really hasn't been that top-notch either. Week 11 Rams game, we saw the Rams kind of expose Seattle. And since that game forward, Seattle went from the number 1 passing offense to 25th. That's bottom quarter of the league. Seattle, even against the Niners, probably not going to hang a huge number. They have been an under team, especially first half, 13-4 to the under. So I will probably look for a first half under as well. But this 46.5, this is the same total the Niners open against the Eagles, and that one closed 44. I think this goes the same direction. It's already going down. 47 is a key number. We're on the wrong side of it, but I think we get towards 44, which is the next key number down. Give me the under 46.5 at DraftKings, Seahawks and Niners. And while we're here, quick second hot read, keep it nice and easy. Seahawks, Rams, moneyline parlay. It's even odds right now. Let's call our shot. I think that is our NFC Championship game. Let's start with the Seahawks. We're just there. This is a bet on that Mike McDonald defense. Niners injured everywhere, all those offensive injuries, and Seattle is rested now because they got that 13-3 road win. This is what they get, is the home game with rest against this tired Niners team. I don't really want to trust Darnold in that offense yet, but San Fran's defense should be just enough for them to get there. Seattle was 0-3 in the red zone that game, so probably it shouldn't have even been as close as it did turn out. Seattle, when they have fans at home games, 10 straight playoff wins, third longest streak in NFL history. I think they get an 11th one here and host the NFC Championship game against the Rams. This is an easy sell high spot for the Bears. Obvious letdown spot emotionally after they won their Super Bowl, right? We saw the comeback, the crazy game against the Packers. But don't forget, though, the first three quarters count there, too. Chicago's been totally outplayed through three quarters twice now in the last month against the Packers, really against some of the Packers' backups before that big finish. Bears lose their starting left tackle. They lose their best linebacker in TJ Edwards. Their corners are all banged up. This is really a good get-right spot, I think, for the Rams, especially that Rams offense. I think they can name their number against the Bears defense. Bears D, by far the weak link on the field, similar to San Fran in the other game. Stafford's finger supposedly looks fine. I'm going to count on the Rams to score. Do the Bears score? They might. Ben Johnson might find some answers. Rams defense has been a little bit leaky, but you don't want to win a shootout against the Rams, not with that Bears defense. Rams didn't get the 1 seed, but they did kind of get lucky here. They get Carolina and now this banged up Bears team rather than a road game in Philly or something like that. This is my Super Bowl pick, my favorite. And I think they're the surer win of these teams, even though they're a bit shorter on the line. So I'll probably be back on Rams and Alts this week. But I'm just going to ride the two favorites here. I think the public will as well, especially with all the injury news. So I think these lines do rise a little bit, maybe towards 6-ish for the Rams, maybe to 7 or past for Seattle. We're getting plus 100 on the money line parlay. I think by game day next weekend, maybe more like minus 125, 130. So let's grab a Rams Seattle money line parlay at even odds plus 100 and call it a wrap. Let's get to the NFC Championship.
All righty then. Thank you, Brandon. As always, we appreciate it and we miss you. That'll do it here on the Favorites in the Action Hour podcast for our crossover NFL Wildcard Weekend recap episode presented by DraftKings. Give us a like on the YouTube video and do not forget 5-star ratings and reviews wherever and whenever you are listening. We always appreciate it. If you haven't yet, check out our new AI Quick Slip bot on X. Just tag Playbook at Playbook. Tell it to grab whatever bets you're looking for. It'll create a Quick Slip link for you in a matter of seconds. We'll be back for Action Island right before Monday Night Football game right here. Steelers, Texans. Video comes out midday. It'll be live all day to check out. And more best bets from Brandon, the 6-pack from Abrams and Stuckey, anytime touchdowns from Jill and all of our guys, and more on the podcast feed next week for the divisional round. Thank you for listening. Good luck with all your bets. Oh man, what a weekend.